Collected Essays of Valerie Lynn Stevens. Critical Thinking. Jainist Manifoldness. Jainist Manifoldness. Within the East Indian school of thought called Jainism, there is a theory called the Jainist theory of manifoldness, which I have always held dear. This philosophy follows what in Sanskrit is called Anekantavada, or the not one-sided doctrine. Furthermore, this theory is predicated upon a principle of mental non-violence towards objects and subjects in contemplation. To clarify, it recognizes the manifoldness or complexity of every existing entity and believes that such entities are violated through the reductionistic approach often taken towards them in order to understand and classify them. The term ekanta describes these singular absolutist predications. This theory was based on Mahavira's teachings and also extended to a respect for the manifoldness, not merely of objects and subjects, but of variant ideologies and thought systems themselves. Mahavira was a young prince who lived at circa the 6th century BCE, who, having become disenchanted with the trappings into which he was born, traveled his native India for 13 years. One day, as legend tells it, he experienced a feeling of unity with all creation and a liberation from all of his earthly woes. He named himself Jina, which means the conqueror or conqueror of the mind, and thereafter established a following of disciples who practiced his philosophy and lifestyle of righteous living and non-violence, both physical and psychological. What I love most about this particular view is how it honors the complexity and irreducibility of all beings, especially human beings. We all have experienced at some time in this life being abused by a world which feels the need to cut us down to size and to force us into demeaning, oppressive, and dehumanizing caricatures and reductionistic stereotypes. This doctrine, even in merely reading and absorbing its beautiful truth, is vindication in its own way. It is also healing in its own way, merely by reading it and having my humanity and experience validated by others outside myself. We all need this mirroring more than we know. So, what does this have to do with my theme of critical thinking? Everything. An illuminating and healing doctrine such as this was arrived upon through the very methodology of critical thinking on its feet. The higher we allow ourselves to think and the deeper we allow ourselves to connect with ourselves, with others, and with the universe at large, the closer and closer we get to wholeness and transcendence and the truth. You see, is it any wonder how this world, so ruled as it is by those dark, unseen principalities, tries to lure people into thinking less and feeling less? Of course it does, because then we remain in the dark, perhaps comfortable in our apathy, yet unfulfilled and deeply anguished at the same time. Yes, indeed, our minds must be very powerful entities, seeing as destructive forces seek to medicate and hypnotize them into non-being with such insidious persistence. I guess the point I'm getting at is that a failure to properly develop the mind can lead one to some very dark and even dangerous places. A rabbi once noted, a truly devout man cannot be ignorant. A unification of mind and spirit must be striven for if one is to fulfill what I believe to be this human existence's highest purpose and greatest honor, to become more and more each day fully human, and that we may someday breach what it is to be in the full presence of the fully divine, reunited with our true birth father, the ultimate source of all salvation and amelioration.